Hi folks, and welcome to the Brass Monkeys. On today's podcast, our brass monkey Steve is going solo, and he's interviewing his old bass partner, Gareth Skillander. So let's take a listen. Let's hope you enjoy.
Well, we're here with Gareth Skillander this evening. Thank you for inviting us around, Gareth.
Nice to see you, mate.
Yes. So we're going to go through a few of our usual sort of questions and see what comes of it all and where we get to. And in the fabled times of brass banding and Gareth's life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I suppose going through the similar sort of questions to everybody else, when did you actually start playing?
So I think I was 9, so it would have been 1978.
Yeah, right.
In primary school.
Yeah.
Little old man came in with a bootload of instruments and said, who would like to have a go on some of these?
All right.
We tried the pea shooter and didn't get anywhere with that.
All right, so you started on the cornice.
Worked my way up until I found a mouthpiece that I could get something out of. So, I had the most battered euphonium you've ever seen in your life. I think when I got it home, my dad took one look at it and went, what in the name of God is that? And spent all weekend cleaning it. To the point that I think when I went back the following week for a lesson, all I could taste was brasso.
Yes, I was been there myself, yes.
Yeah. So that was the start of it.
Yeah.
We weren't a musical family or anything like that, but I just sort of took to it and carried on with my lessons, and there we go.
Yeah, so a quick move from the pea shooters to a youth, and then...
I think when I went to high school, so I think it was maybe my first year in high school, and my Perry said maybe have a go on a tuba.
Yeah.
So school had a single E flat, so I started having a go on that, and straight away they were just like, yeah, right, okay, we want you to go to county band.
Yeah,
which was Wigan Schools bands, and they had I suppose same as most counties, they had a junior and a senior band. So I started going to the junior band, and before I knew where I was given the old Imperial.
Yes, and
twice as big as the single E flat.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was a bit of an eye opener. But just sort of progressed from there, and junior band to senior band, and I stayed there until I was about 17 when I left the youth band. But then that was more because I'd gone into adult banding by then.
Yeah. So were you in the school bands and in a local band as well?
Only for about 12 months.
Yeah.
So through the schools bands, and the lad who I sat next to was playing for Pemberton at the time, Pemberton Old, and he got offered solo E flat at Royal Dalton under Teddy Gray.
Yeah. Right.
So he went and basically pushed me in the direction and said they're looking for another E flat player. Yeah. So I went along there, and it was back in the day when Pemberton was in the most ramshackled of buildings. There was marks on the wall up the staircase to not step on particular treads, and don't go in that room because you'll end up in the floor below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like most band rooms, really.
Yeah,
and everyone says about
back in
going
them
back.
days, unless they were sort of in some kind of club or whatever.
Yeah, that was
most band rooms were like that.
Yeah.
So I think my dad got more of the third degree than I did when I joined. You've got to be there.
Commitment.
Commitment levels and all that sort of stuff. But that was the start of it.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of years there, 2 or 3 years, and then the family moved down here, and I was at the point where, I'd been in work about 9 months. I was like, okay, I'll make the move, and came with them. So we all moved to ULO. First off, I went to D-side when I first came down here. I went out on a Sunday morning with my dad to get a paper, and went in the paper shop, and there was an advert, D-side Silverman looking for players. So went along there and had a blow for a couple of months. Met some very interesting people, Terry Maloney,
Yeah.
Graham Williams, and Graham actually came and was left and came to Northup,
Yeah.
and Northup had a job in the police station in Wrexham, needed a bass player, so Graham
Dragged you along, really? Yes.
Well, he got Bernie to ring me.
Ah, yes. Good old Bernie.
Good old Bernie.
Yes.
Got Bernie Thelwell to ring me up. Can you come down for a rehearsal? Yeah, okay. And I think I came on B flat because you were on E flat at the time with John.
Yeah, probably.
And I think I played B flat with Andy. And I did the concert and said, then he was like, will you come to the next rehearsal? I said, yeah, I'll come to the next rehearsal, but I'm not coming on B flat.
Yeah. So, I think that's when I got the promotion to double B. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
We'll have a chat about that. And next rehearsal I came along, they said, you can play E flat, and you've been shunted onto B flat.
Yeah.
So, and that was the start of what was a very good few years for us, wasn't it? As a four for bass section, and what became a good number of good years with the band.
Yeah, I think as Gavin Jones used to say, because we were sort of inseparable at the time, that if you kicked one of us, we'd all limp for a week.
Yeah.
It was one of those. Yeah. So a good few years there then with the four of us, really, with Andy and John.
Yeah. And then you went, didn't you, because of your work commitments and stuff, and I think I stayed until it was about 2002 when I wouldn't say left, stopped.
Yes.
For family reasons.
Yeah.
So it was one of those that becomes a bit much when you're having to ask for babysitters.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, it's
every rehearsal,
is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a good run there, really, and yes,
and then
and you've had a few comebacks, haven't you?
I've had a few comebacks,
Same as me. You get your arm bent, don't you? Yes.
Yeah, and and not just here. I mean, I played for Buckley for a little while, helping out them when my eldest Owen was there.
Yes.
And then he went to live in Manchester for 3 years while he was doing his apprenticeship with work, and he went to Eccles. And the next thing I've got him on the phone saying, Dad, we need a bass player for Wychavon. Can you help us out? So, I've played for them on and off for probably about 8 or 9 years now. I've helped them out. And
of course, there's no hiding place nowadays, is there?
Certainly isn't for bass players. No. We're a bit of a dying breed, really, aren't we? If once somebody's got your phone number, that's it.
Oh,
yeah.
When the boss phones you up and says, "Can you do?" You say, "Oh, go on, then."
Yeah.
Good. So I suppose going round from that really is just thinking of band music and test pieces. So, have you got a favourite band piece and a favourite sort of test piece?
I think band piece. I think before I properly got into adult banding, I'd heard a recording of Procession to the Minster, and I remember sitting listening to it with my dad, and my dad saying, "Oh, I'd love to hear band playing, with you playing in the band, playing that." So I think that one, because it was the first
proper piece like that. Yeah.
Test piece wise, I mean, God, I've played so many.
Yes.
I think one. It's not so much maybe one that you'd enjoy listening to much, but really enjoyed playing because there's for me, I had a really good, enjoyable, and made you work hard bass part would be English Heritage.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we had some success with that piece as well.
Yeah, you had a good run on that one, didn't you, really, at the time?
It was... I mean, at that time, it was a tough piece, and still is.
Yeah.
But there was a lot to get your head and your fingers around on that one. I listened to some of the ones that are now, and I was just like, No, couldn't get near that.
No,
No.
I know. I was helping North about a couple of years ago in a concert, and the Gethin wasn't there, and I was there, and whoever was conducting said, "Oh, we'll just have a little run through the open piece," and I was like,
Would that have been Sand and Stars?
"Yeah."
Yeah.
And I sort of sat there scratching my head, thinking, anyway, that can go back in this case after this rehearsal. Yeah.
The thing is, I suppose you get, I hear people rehearsing pieces and talk to people, and some of the people you talk to, and when they tell you that, oh, this is a hard piece, you think, if you're saying it hard, it must be hard because you're a far better player than I am. I think the level of those pieces,
they are head and shoulders above what was considered the standards sort of 10, 20 years ago. They've gone a long way, but I mean, that's dragged the players along, hasn't it, as well, really, the top few. Whether there's too many in the top section, maybe now. It's a contentious point,
I think it becomes a very difficult situation for the bands that manage to get into that contest through working hard, and then you're on a bit of a hide to nothing, because even going between, you don't necessarily get the previous year's open piece in a Grand Shield, do you? This year being a classic example. It's not even like you can say, well, we're getting prepared for it by playing in a Grand Shield, because it doesn't necessarily work that way.
And sometimes it is too big a jump, though, isn't it? It is, too much. I know it's supposed to be preparing you for the Open, but sometimes it is for all the bands in the Shield. It's too much, isn't it?
And you look at all the bands that are in there, and they are just your, I wouldn't say every day, twice a week rehearsal kind of bands, but they don't hold the same level of standard of player as if you go into those that are in the very, very top, where they are the nearest thing to professional players, aren't they? So
So I suppose the other one is a contest venue, or somewhere whether you played somewhere, or whether, I know we've been to many a concert hall or contest over the years, and
I've got plenty of contest venues that I don't like. That's
a
an
long
easy
list.
one.
Yeah.
That's a very easy one. I think the last time I played there, and I don't know whether it was because I thought I had a feeling it was probably going to be one of my last contests at that level. The last time I played at the Albert Hall, I really enjoyed it. I think I felt a lot more relaxed, and that wasn't necessarily because it was an easier piece or anything like that, because it wasn't.
No. Just more relaxed.
I just felt a lot more comfortable in myself. That was quite enjoyable, and I think part of for me it was my fourth time.
Yeah.
So I think you sort of got a little bit over the nerves.
It's not quite as bad when you go out, is it? And I remember one year we were on first, weren't we? And we were able to go out and have a look around and stand on the stage and things like that. You don't have that shock of just coming out out the tunnel and wow. And
particularly if you've got sort of youngsters playing in a band, that was an ideal one to be able to take them out and show them. I think another venue that I've liked, and I mean there's a few that are similar, but I used to quite like playing in Rochdale Town Hall.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And yet, considering it's very, very similar, I don't like playing in the Brangwyn.
Yeah.
And they're very, very similar kinds of halls, but to look at and whatever. But I always feel a little bit isolated in the Brangwyn.
Yeah, I always think you're by yourself.
Yeah,
it's the one that I always say to Al a lot over the years. I always said, just watch your stick.
Yeah.
Well, don't get drawn into that. That bounce back, and you can hear yourself playing 3 times in there sometimes.
Yeah. And there's a few that really don't lay testament to being contest venues. Really,
I suppose the next one is a favourite solo. Maybe not a bass one. Maybe somebody that you've heard, or we've sat and accompanied many a soloist over the years, haven't we?
We have.
Yes.
We have indeed. Yeah. There's one that I really like listening to.
Yeah.
Which is cornet solo called Song.
Yeah.
Well, I know a few of the youngsters who I've heard sort of playing through lessons and what have you, playing that. When I first came across that, it was Mark Wilkinson playing it.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favourite solos, definitely. I think, another one which sort of stands out for me, partly because, Owen's played it a few times, is Donegal Bay.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
nice
he's used on trombone.
Yeah.
And I suppose that stands out because he did a recording of that with a friend of his, where they did all the parts, just the two of them. They put that together as a video for when my dad passed away.
Oh, that's nice.
That was a piece that my dad really liked. So it's that sort of sticks with me a little bit. So
here's a contentious one. Favourite conductor? Oh, not the other list.
I've been very fortunate with the conductors that I've been able to sit and play in a band of, and some people say, I don't like him or what have you. I've always enjoyed working under Tom Vees.
Yes.
And I suppose I'm fortunate in that I've got a lot of respect for Tom, but I get on very well with him.
Yes.
And I think that makes it a lot easier when you're sat in the band room. I think I'd probably have to say, if I had a favourite conductor who I've sat in front of, it's got to be Dick Evans.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate as a teenager that he came to Wigan Schools Band and did a 3-day course with us.
Oh, wow.
We had him one year, and then the following year, and this would be another one, following year we had Roy Newsom. But working with him, it's just such a fantastic bloke. Very, very down to earth. And you think, he was taking the top band, but he was great with the kids. We were a
Which
band
is difficult, isn't it?
We were a band that ranged from 12 to 18 years old, but nothing was too much trouble. And I would say, he worked us as hard as he worked Leyland. He would probably be the standout one. And Russell Gray.
Russell.
Again, worked with him alongside Tom at times, and then done a few rehearsals up at Eccles with him. When he's obviously a lot more experienced now.
He seems to be doing all right with Foldens, doesn't he, as well?
He doesn't do too bad, does he? I mean, he hasn't got a bad group sitting around in front of him, has he? But,
He used to have... I remember once Russell spent... we did a bass sectional with us once, and he spent about an hour just on getting the balance right. And we were getting a much bigger sound, and we were only working about 70%.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And the other hour he spent trying to tune us up.
Well,
because that was always a bit of an issue with us, wasn't it?
Be in, out, leave it out,
I tell you now, he's no different now. The last rehearsal I did with him with Eccles, we spent so much time tuning. But that's having a guy in the middle who's got a fantastic ear. Doesn't miss a trick.
No.
So
good guys. All of them.
I've been very, very, very fortunate with the conductors that I've been able to work under over the years. We've been very lucky here. We've had in Norfolk,
really
we've had some very good ones. Nigel Weeks was a great bloke.
Inspirational, wasn't he? He was like,
and he was. I mean, a lot of people credit Jim Scott for the success, but I think Nigel Weeks was the catalyst behind that. Mr. Scott was able to take it on. To another level.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And there again is another great conductor that I would say it was a privilege to sit in front of.
Yeah.
Absolute gentleman he was.
Yes.
You knew you were in trouble when the jacket came off and the sleeves got rolled up.
If the handkerchief come out and a quick blow of the nose and right then, gentlemen.
Shall we start again?
Oh.
Yes.
It was more of a telling off than a real telling off, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
My word.
I don't think we ever saw him actually get angry.
No.
But you just knew.
You just knew, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
And I suppose now on to our final 3 questions that we get everybody with, which is if you have one or two or one or many banding hero. So somebody I suppose you've looked up to or...
Again, I was fortunate when I played in the schools bands. We had a main conductor who was a peripatetic, nice bloke, good at what he did, but his assistant was a guy called Peter Lockett. Peter was at the time solo flat bass at Leyland, and he was also bandmaster, and used to spend so much time with me and the other lad on E flat. He would always come and sit in alongside us in rehearsals. Went on tour with the band, and he actually played principal E flat. Did all the solo stuff. But I learned a lot from him. And say as an inspiration, my one and only performance with Leyland was as a result of him. Telling Mr. Evans to phone me up and get me down to cover for him because he wasn't available.
Nice say you've played for a minute,
It was the biggest shock I've ever had when I got a phone call in work from my mum saying, "Can you phone Mr. Evans?" I was like, "Who?"
Oh, which Mr. Evans?
Peter was a great player, but very, I think he was very underestimated, but did a lot for me.
And that's Andy's dad, isn't it?
It is Andy Lockett's dad, yes. Yes.
Andy's helped us out a few times.
He has,
Yeah.
So I would say he would be.
So here's a tricky one for you now. So if you could play in any band at any time in their history, who would it be?
There are so many. There are so many that you think about. And if I think over a banding career of 40, 45 years, think of those bands. Oh man. I don't think I could pick one.
No.
I think there's several that you look at and go, wow, what were they like? YBS.
Oh yeah.
In late 90s. It was Dyke. Again under Peter Parks. When they were invincible.
Weren't they?
And then you look sort of more recently, and you've had Corey and Foden's, who've both done doubles, trebles.
All good ones. Any of them. Any of the above.
I mean, it's. I was fortunate to have. I mean, it was only one job, but to play for one of the bigger boys, and you go and hear them and think about
wow.
It is a wow, isn't it? And I think I'm sort of quite fortunate that I've been maybe a little bit closer to a lot of those bands because of the area that I come from. I've still got a lot of friends in the sort of the northwest and what have you, who are still associated with a lot of the big bands. We had a guy here conducting in Norfolk very recently, Mark Peacock. Me and Mark go back to 12, 13-year-old kids playing in band. And I look at, I think, Mark's very, very heavily linked with Fairies. And it's nice to still be able to call people like mates. I think the career he's had. I don't think a lot of people sort of know what sort of level he was, but in that 1990s YBS band, he was a flugel player before Ewan. So it's the family legacy, his dad, his uncles, the fairies died in the wool, aren't they? Yeah.
Synonymous with the band, like that way.
It was quite fortunate with that schools band that there were several players who went to play for top bands.
Top bands, like
we've got a Perry down here, Chris Peeling.
Yeah.
So Chris left the schools band as I joined. Yeah. Chris went to Brighouse.
As you do.
As you do. Yeah. Schools band to Brighouse and Rastrick.
Wow.
But we produced some really good players that played for good bands.
Yeah.
And
the final one, how would you describe brass bands in 3 words? 3,000 words I got to.
If I had to pick one area of brass bands at the moment and I look at it from a contesting point of view, I'd have to say out of touch.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, to me, well, not just the bottom end of the structure. I think if you can go as high as second section, as bands are struggling.
Yeah.
And the movement to me is not doing anything positive to ensure that bands can keep performing.
Yeah.
And you only have to look at in our own area the number of bands that are entering in the lower sections.
Yeah, it's dire, isn't
and
it?
if you go back 10 years, there was probably 15 bands in the section, and now there are 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder and harder, even as you go up the sections. So, even from my own experience, to look at it and go, well, a first section band that's in the centre of Manchester with Salford and the Royal Northern and Manchester University on their doorstep are having to bring in a bass player from North Wales.
Yeah, just shows where
that
we're in.
Just shows what kind of state of play the whole movement is in, really. So I would think that there has to be some kind of radical change, whether it be you allow the Smiths, where the Swiss do it, where you could play for your local band as well as a top band.
Yeah. I know they've tried this year. They tried you could borrow 2 players, couldn't you, for the 4th section and 1 for the 3rd. They've tried that, but we still only ended up with 3 bands in the 4th section. Yeah, which is a worry. And as you say, it's that triangle. And I think I was listening to Smith and Grezzy on their podcast, and they said it's an inverted triangle. It's going to fall over.
Yeah.
You can't have that. You can't be sitting on the point, can you?
No.
You need a wide base. And
And the thing is that the top bands will never have a problem.
Yeah.
Because even if the best players deteriorate in standard, they're still going to be the best players of that crop. So those bands will still take those players. And it's everybody else that's... you look at the area that we're in here, and we're just that little bit too far.
Yeah, just too far away from everywhere.
From most places. Yeah. But if you think, even you say, well, we're only 50 minutes from Manchester, but for a student, a 50-minute journey before and after band is a big deal.
Yes.
And it's not as simple as just dragging somebody along to come to a rehearsal. And by the same token, you can't be looking at continually taking back the older guard, because there's going to come a point where they're too old.
Yes.
And you see that in some bands as well, that their average age is way above where you'd like to think it should be.
Yeah. It's like Brass Band Wales have just tried that thing where they're trying to get people back to banding because they've looked at the age groups, and there's that gap where there's there's young players and there's old players, but the sort of 40, 50-year-olds aren't playing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's how do you get them re-engaged, and they tried a workshop down in Llandudno last week.
Yeah.
Which, you know, seemed to be a good start. I think they're going to do Mid Wales and South Wales, but how do you bridge that gap now is really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the incentive, isn't it? Of well, you know, if I'm going to go to band, what is the incentive?
Yeah.
And you know, unfortunately, it feels like it's a bit of a culture on the decline, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
audiences they get older and older, and
Yeah.
then they don't exist, and there's no. You know, it's very difficult to be playing music that's attractive to younger generations. I think it sort of strikes now that if you haven't grown up within the movement,
Yeah. You don't get it.
you're not going to get
No,
into it. You know, so think about over the years the number of times, you know, you've got a concert at night, so you have to take your instrument into work and your uniform into work and whatever, and people are like, you know, what have you got in there and all that sort of stuff. And you talk, you say this is what I'm doing and this is where I'm going at the weekend, or you know, this is what contest we're playing in. Oh wow, you know, where are you playing? What are you you know, what's the outcome of it all and everything? You know, people think, you know, Brassed Off, when you think about that, people think, oh, you know, it was a great film. They don't realise it's a true story.
Yeah.
You know,
thinly veiled, true story, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, and they think, oh, you know, yeah, that's all the funny side of it, but it's not. It's, you know, that's how brass band life is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of people, it is what it's their life.
Yes.
Outside of work,
yes.
That's their life.
Yeah. And it has to be that total commitment, doesn't it? Really, for a lot of people who've said, well, that's my hobby, that's what I do.
For a hobby,
totally immersed,
it's a very, very committed thing to do, because you're not just committing to it for yourself, are you? You're committing to it for the 27, 28 people who you turn up with
and you also,
2 nights a week.
And you almost commit half your family life, don't you, as well, to it?
Yeah.
The number of things over the years that you've said, well, I can't do that because I'm going to band.
Yeah.
But, you know, I remember many times when, you know, the wife said to me about, you know, oh, we want to do this or we want to go there, and it's like, well,
can't do that, we've got rehearsal.
Got a job, or, yeah. I won't get back in time.
Well, I mean, certainly, you know, I remember the times with yourself and Andy where, you know, you'd be looking at it and going, right, okay, you know, when's the contest? What shifts are we on?
Yeah.
How can we swap our shifts around?
Yeah.
You know, do I need to be booking a day off?
The week before, the night before, the day after, all them things,
and you think, you know, that even just things like that, how much that impact on family life? That, well, I'm taking holidays to go to band.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's, you know, sacrificing time with my family to be able to do the band stuff.
And then when the family ask you to take a day off for them, you say, well, I've got no days left.
Yeah.
I've used all my days off. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's it, Gareth, really. We've gone around the 21 questions, and thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah. Nice to catch up and reminisce on some of the things, and without incriminating too many people as well.
Yes, yeah.
We had a list of people we weren't allowed to mention, didn't we?
We did.
They shall remain nameless then.
I did mention one, but I don't think he'll mind.
No, he won't mind.
No.
Well, thank you very much for that, Gareth. And thanks for inviting us over.
Lovely to see you.
Cheers.
And, nice to be able to listen to other people and their stories.
Yes. Yeah, good. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get that out in a few weeks' time. We'll get the podcast out. We'll let you know when it's going out.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was great, Steve. I think you all agree that was a great interview. And a big thank you to Gareth for allowing us into his home and interviewing him on his banding life. So before we sign off for this podcast, it's just a big call out to any bandsmen out there, any bands who want to get involved in our podcast. It'd be great to hear from you. So you can send us in diary events, anything that's going on with your bands, any concerts coming up. We'd like to hear from you. And you can contact us the usual way, which is through our Gmail, which is thebrassmonkeyspodcast@gmail.com. You can also send us a message through our Facebook page. And while you're at it, why not follow us? And then you get updates of what we're doing and upcoming episodes. We're now also on YouTube. If you want to search for us there, just search for the Brass Monkeys podcast. And why not like and subscribe? It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it would help us an awful lot in promoting this podcast. So if the love for brass band strikes a chord with you, or you're curious about our joyous, resonating world, hit that subscribe button. Let us walk together into the world of brass banding, sharing notes and laughter along this musical journey. A big thank you to all our followers out there. It means a lot to the Brass Monkeys, and without your continued support, we'd have nobody to interview and talk about the brass banding movement that we all love. So until the next time, see you soon. Bye.